everyone. Today I'm joined by Florian Raff, the Head of Aviation Development and Statistics for Zurich Airport. Thank you so much, Florian, for joining me today.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So my first question to you is, would you please start by telling us who you are and what your role means for Zurich Airport, please?
My name is Florian Raff, and I'm in charge of aviation development at Zurich Airport and statistics. So the aviation development, as the name says, is about developing new routes, developing the network, and together with my team trying to always look for new opportunities to extend the reach of destinations that we offer from Zurich.
Sure, thank you. So how is business going for Zurich Airport at the moment?
I have to say it's going very well. We've been good at recovering this year, fortunately faster than we had anticipated. So last month we reached about 90 or close to 98% of recovery. And that's across all markets. We've got some markets that are a little slower, like China, for example, and within Europe, Germany, that we're still missing some traffic, but the rest is almost where it was before.
Okay, so nearly pre-pandemic levels.
Nearly pre-pandemic,
Okay,
that's correct.
Sounds good. So what are your three most exciting developments happening at Zurich Airport right now?
Well, one is the recovery. That was the big thing for the last 3 years for us to come back to the level where we are, and especially to get the destinations and the airline customers back to Zurich. And we've recovered almost everybody. The last one recently announced to return, which is Delta to Atlanta. Mm-hmm. Very excited to get them back next summer. Mm-hmm. The second exciting thing is that we've got the A380 back, which still for aviation fans, that's a big thing. We've got one daily A380 from Emirates that's coming to Zurich. Still hoping for the second daily to be put back on the A380 again as well. Mm-hmm. And the third most exciting thing is the long-term development that we have. We're going to be replacing a pier. Our major pier in Zurich, which is handling all the non-Schengen traffic, will be replaced in the course of the next about 10 to 12 years. Quite a big project, which is all happening during regular operation. And if you know Zurich, it's quite limited in space. Yeah. This is going to be a challenge for all of us, but we're very much looking forward to the new infrastructure.
I've heard in conversation with other officials that I've interviewed that people are developing the aircraft so it's more sustainable, and there's interest in fleet renewal. Will the the renewals of your aircraft, will they also be sustainable in some way?
The airport, the infrastructure? Yeah, for sure. So the infrastructure, the design award winner has already been, or design competition winner has already been announced. It's a really nice design with a lot of wood, Swiss wood, procured locally, so we don't have a lot of transportation emissions there. And Switzerland's quite advanced, I'd say, in comparison also when it comes to heating and cooling with in an energy efficient way. There's going to be photovoltaics or solar on the infrastructure as well. So a lot of attention is being paid that we build in a sustainable way, and also not just build, but can also operate the new pier in a sustainable manner.
Sure. Okay. So how are you looking to expand passenger growth at Zurich Airport in a sustainable manner? I think we're just talking about that.
Well, I think people want to travel, and you can see that now coming out of the pandemic. I mean, demand, I think, has exceeded everybody's expectations. What we try to do by as an airport operator, for one, we try to change our infrastructure, change our vehicles, our operations to a more sustainable way. So one example is we've got an electrified fleet, or partly electrified fleet already. Once technology becomes available and is mature enough, for example, passenger buses, will start to procure electrical passenger buses. We try to reduce carbon emissions from the heating of the buildings and the cooling, as I mentioned. And the other thing, what we try to do is we try to incentivize airlines to use modern aircraft, which typically are more sustainable, less emissions, less footprint in terms of noise and CO2 as well.
Sure. Okay. So what are some aeronautical / non-aeronautical commercial opportunities that you were looking into, and how are you expected that these will help to grow Zurich Airport?
Switzerland is a mature market. So in terms of aero development, we've got most of the trunk routes covered. So we're working on the peripherals, we're working on the shoulders, but there's a lot of exciting opportunities coming up. So for example, India is a growing market, China is a growing market. China hasn't recovered yet from the pandemic properly. So that's a market we're actively working on. But also within Europe, there are new opportunities opening up. For example, Eastern Europe is an area where we don't have a lot of capacity yet. We're working on that with a hub carrier. So there's plenty of opportunities. And obviously, the aero side drives the non-aero side. Passenger numbers growing also mean revenue is growing in the shops. And that's how we pursue that. In addition, we've recently opened a new area of the airport, which is completely non-aero, which is the Circle.
Okay.
It's a huge building structure next to the airport. It's got a conference center, 2 hotels, various office spaces, big company names that have moved in there, like Microsoft in Switzerland, SAP. So that's, for us, a new pillar on the non-aero side.
Yeah, sure, thanks. That's really good. So in your role, how do you work to ensure all stakeholders, so investors, customer relations, are all satisfied? And why are partnerships essential for the future of the development of an airport?
Well, on the investor side, let's start with that, since money makes the world go round. Investors are happy when traffic grows, so that's why we're here. We're at Roots World. We're trying to increase the passenger numbers, increase the number of ATMs. That will, again, increase turnover and the bottom line for us. So we're keeping them happy in that. At the same time, obviously, keeping the costs low and keeping the costs at bay. The stakeholders, I think, as an airport, you're a platform. You're bringing a travel market and the travel offer together. And you function as a platform. And in that sense, it's important, in my opinion, to bring the stakeholders together as well and try to find a balanced approach to all of this. So we work closely with the local authorities. We work closely with the federal authorities in Switzerland because we are the main gateway to Switzerland. We work with the airline customers, with our partners, but also with the handling agents and all the authorities, plus the tourism bodies. And at the end of the day, you have to align the various interests, and we see it as our role to try and define the best medium.
Okay, sure. So it's a balanced approach that you take.
For sure.
Sure. Thanks. I think we were just mentioning with this, but I guess how do you work with governments and tourist office to promote your destination to travelers?
Well, as I mentioned, we try to bring everybody together, and that's literally speaking. We have, and this has been instituted for the last about 23, 24 years, a round table twice a year where the various entities come together. So it's the foreign office sends a delegate, there's the civil office that sends a delegate, there's tourism bodies, regional as well as local from the city, and also from Switzerland Tourism, where we from our side inform about what's going on in terms of development, in terms of traffic development, in terms of route development, because that's very interesting to them as well. And we try to get everybody to work on the same case and get everybody aligned.
Sure.
So that's really a concrete measure where we take steps by sitting down together and coordinating each other's activities.
And doing it regularly surely helps.
For sure.
Yeah. So is sustainability a part of your conversations with airlines when you are developing new routes?
I think each stakeholder is doing their bit to make aviation more sustainable. As I said, I believe it's an intrinsic wish by humans to travel and to move. So I don't think banning flying is the right way forward. We need to make it more sustainable. And I think there's a lot of activities going on. And there's electrifying flying attempts there. There's SAF. There are things on the ground. And each stakeholder is doing their own. And we, as an airport operator, try to develop our infrastructure in a way to offer what's required for that. So we've had SAF flights from Zurich, so there's the capacity for that. Once electric flying becomes available, we'll be providing the infrastructure for that. But I think a lot is in motion at the moment, and we'll see which technology and which technologies really help to drive aviation.
And for my final question, I want to ask you, what is keeping you up at night?
What's keeping me up at night? It's typically the excitement of being able to open a new route the next day. Those days are very, very exciting for me and the team, because it means, we've done a good job, and it's sort of typically the final and happy end to a successful work journey for us.